Hello! Today we're going to learn in this video about algebraic operations such as addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Most of us have learned this in grade 1 to grade 6, but once you have started introducing the algebra part, which is where we have variables, usually it gets a little more confusing because now we have letters combined with numbers. So how does it actually work? So what we have in the first part here, the 5x plus 4y minus 3, is a common algebraic statement. When we see letters like x and y, we refer to them as variables, like this and this one. If you have different letters, it means they're different variables, meaning that you cannot group them together. X will group with other x's, and y's will group with other y's. So in this case, we have to be able to identify first what variables do we have. This will be shown better in our next practice questions. In this case, the numbers that lie before your variables are what we call coefficients. So for example, in this case, for the green one here, our 5 is the coefficient for our x variable. And for the blue one here, our 4 is the coefficient for the y variable. And in this case, don't forget to mind the plus sign. That positive is also a variable for this. We call this one coefficient. As for the x and y, those are what we refer to as variable. As for the terms, such as the -3 at the end of this, that has no variable attached to it, we call them constant. Okay, so these are the basic terms that we need to be familiar with when we're dealing with algebraic operations. Now let's dive into the first question. In the first question, first of all, let's identify which variable exists in this. A quick scheme of this will help you see that there are common variables here, such as this one and this one. Also, we have this one and this one. As for the xy squared, there is no other term with the same variable. So when we see something like this, we'll combine them. For the x squared y, we have 3 plus 4. So that gives us 7x squared y. What else do we have? As for the orange one, we have positive 7 plus 3. It gives us plus 10. Easy enough, right? As for the rest that don't have any other thing to combine them with, I'm just gonna rewrite the plus 2xy squared plus 10. And this is the final answer for the first practice question. Basically, what we're doing is that we're finding variables that are scattered around the question, and then we group them according to each variable. In the case of x squared y, the blue ones, if there are 3 and then positive 4, we combine them and they become 7. As for the orange ones, you have xy, 7xy, and then 3xy. You combine them and they become 10xy. We'll go on to the next question. We'll do the same thing, but now take a look. We're having a bracket here. This bracket needs to be opened first. In the case of a positive before the bracket, it's kind of easy. We can just remove the bracket. But now this and this, they'll merge and when what's before the bracket is a positive sign, it will actually just follow what's inside the bracket, so I'll end up with a negative. It's basically a rewriting of what's inside the bracket, because the positive sign will not affect what's inside. In this common sense, it gives you this. If this is combined with this, it will give you this. See, the positive sign doesn't really affect what's inside. So now we'll go to the second part, which is what we did with question 1. Do we have any other K4? I think we do. We have it here and here. You have K to the power of 4 in this, and then K squared, you also have 2 of them. You have it here and you have it here. As for the constant, we'll also combine them later. You have this and also this. So let's dive with the blue first. What do we have? Negative 4k to the power of 4 minus 3k to the power of 4. If I have this, I'm having a negative 7k to the power of 4. Moving on to the green one, I have a positive 3 and minus 14. So I end up with that. What else do I have? I have the purple one, plus 14 minus 8. So that gives me there. If everything is already covered, now this becomes the final answer for our second practice question. Easy enough, right? For question 3, we have to do what we did for question 2, which is opening the bracket. But in this case, take extra caution. Because when we have something like this and this combined, they'll give you a positive sign here. And then, if I am seeing this with this, a negative and a positive multiplied gives you, that's right, a negative. Then I also have this combined with this. What does it give us? Oops, a little messy with the bracket here. But negative and negative, you get a positive sign. So a little rule of thumb, probably you've learned this in grade 7 to grade 6. But if you have a negative multiplied with a negative, you'll get a positive figure. If it's positive and positive, it remains as a positive figure. But if one of them is negative, they'll both end up with a negative sign. Okay, so this is the rule of thumb that we're using when we're dealing with question 3. It's something like this. When you're opening a bracket with a negative sign before it, that minus sign will affect whatever is inside. You have to follow this rule of thumb. So let's see, what will we combine here? We are having n to the power of 5 here and here. Then we're having n to the power of 4 here and here. And I think that's it. We don't have any other thing to work on. So for n to the power of 5, we have negative 6 plus 8. What does it give us? It gives you 2n to the power of 5. And then for n to the power of 4, you have negative 8 plus 6. It gives you something like that. And then we'll just rewrite what we cannot group with the other parts, which are minus 3n plus 3. And this is the final answer for practice question 3. How do you find it? Easy enough, right? I hope you're familiar now with how to group, how to make addition and subtraction of algebraic figures. where you have variables. You focus on finding the variables that exist and group them together. Think of it like a puzzle. You just find what you can match with each other and what you cannot. Now, when we have something like this, now this is where we have the rule of commutative multiplication. When we have something like this, we deal with it like this and this. And then you go to the second part, this and this. So seeing the blue one, what do we have? 3x times x. And then seeing the green one, you have 3x times 2y. Now, if you remember an exponent, you probably learned this already. There is a rule where if you have a to the power of m times a to the power of n, given that they are both a's, they become a to the power of m plus n. In that case, you're not actually writing it down, but 3x is actually 3 times x to the power of 1. We never write the power of 1. You just assume that it is when nothing is written. So in this case, what do we have? 3x to the power of 2 from 1 plus 1. And then what do we have at the other side? 3 times 2 gives you the 6. The x and y cannot be mixed. So you let them be in this form. Leave it as xy. And this is the final answer. I hope it's still easy enough for you to follow. Now we go to the fifth question. In this case, we'll do what we just did, but now it's becoming a bit more complex. I have this, and then I have this, then I have this, and for the last part, I have this one. Okay, let's trace it using the color. The blue one says I have x times 3x, and then for the green one, I have x times 2. The red one, negative 7 times 3x, and then the purple one, negative 7 times 2. Now we'll combine. For this one, just like what we did in question 4, x times 3x becomes 3x squared, or 3x to the power of 2. For this one, we'll just rearrange. It becomes 2x minus 7 times 3 gives you 21x minus 14 at the last part. Now, if you notice that this is not finished yet, this and this are the same variable. So what do we do? Plus 2 minus 21 gives you negative 19x. Now this is the final answer for practice question 5. Easy enough, right? Let's go to question 6. It's pretty similar to what we have in question 5. So let's do it again using the same method. This is the first, second, going with the third here, and the fourth here. For the blue one, I'm having x times negative 2x. The green one, I'm having x times 1. The red one, I'm having 9 times negative 2x. And for the last one, I'm having 9 times 1. If you notice, I intentionally used the brackets here due to the negative sign. So now let's open it up. X times negative 2x, it gives me negative 2x squared. The negative stays there. And then 1 times x gives you x, plus 9 times negative 2x, it gives you negative 18x. The negative stays because of positive times negative gives you negative, plus 9. And of course, this is also like question 5. It's not finished yet. You have this and this. Now we have to combine them. Plus x is actually plus 1x. You see the green writing? Here, it's actually 1x, but we don't write the 1 when you have a variable. So if you see a variable standing alone, like in this case x plus 9, it's actually 1x plus 9. But if it's 1, we have a habit of not writing it. Okay, so plus 1 minus 18 gives you negative 17x plus 9. Now this is the final answer for practice question 6. I hope this video helps you enough in understanding how to do basic multiplication, addition, and subtraction of algebraic figures. And hopefully it doesn't intimidate you anymore when you see letters or variables in math. Please like, subscribe, and share this with your friends who might need this kind of help as well. Thank you for watching.